I'd definitely say someone like Fern Brady had made an impact. Like, she felt like she was thinking in a different way. And actually, I didn't know her neurodivergent story until I read her book, and was, again, hugely relieved that she talked about Taskmaster in a positive way. And I hadn't crossed my mind that people are thinking the way she thinks on the show. So, yeah, she was so funny and so honest. And I'm, very glad that she enjoyed it. But, equally, someone like Lisa Tarbuck thought in a completely different way to anybody else, and surprised me. I don't know. I just found her very funny, as I just found Fern very funny. So I guess it's people like that who will answer the question or do the thing in a way that I hadn't expected. That's what I'm always looking for. I want to be excited by their response to the instruction.
When somebody finds a loophole, like a loophole that you're not expecting, does it ever annoy you? Do you ever go, I wish I'd covered myself for that one?
No, I love a loophole. I love it. I don't feel like it's me against them. I feel like it's them against each other, and I love it. The worry is, so the way it works, they come to the house one by one to do these things in isolation. So if the first person opens a task and finds a loophole, straight away I think, oh no, this could not. If they all do that, it won't work. But they invariably don't. They invariably do it in different ways. So, no, I never mind. I might pretend that I'm annoyed. It's mostly me on camera, but there's a little bit of acting where it is just silly and fun. And I'm always happy when people do something in a good way or find one of my tricks. Honestly, I love it.
Tim Key, and the only reason I brought this up is because I spotted it in the credits once. He's task coordinator, is it? Consultant.
That's the word, yeah.
Task consultant. And now the way I picture it, right, genuinely, the way I picture it is just you and him sitting in a pub, just chatting and coming up with the most obscure tasks.
Yeah.
What is the process coming up with that sort of stuff?
Process is a generous word.
Okay.
Chris. Now, what happened was that when we started the show, so he's unfortunately probably my best friend, and so when we started, I used him as a sounding board, but then he was in the show, so I couldn't test any of the tasks on him because that would ruin it. But he would always be the person I'd talk to about what's funny, because he's very funny.
Phil Wang was the test.
Yeah, he came in. He was our first guinea pig. And then actually with Phil, we realised we don't really need to test the task because comedians come in and there's no point in predicting what they're going to do. Anyway, so the second series, when we're surprised enough to get that, I did start running the task by Tim. I said, what about if there was an egg on the table? I remember calling him up and said, what if there's an egg on the table and it said, eat me, fastest wins? What do you think about that? And he said, yeah, that's a good idea. So that was his role. And then the series after that, I kept talking to him and he suggested some things and I said, we should probably pay you for this. So we got him on board as a task consultant. And then after that moment, he's virtually contributed nothing.
Okay.
Not true. No, he's always been a sounding board. I call him at any point to talk about who would be a good contestant. If a task needed a bit of work, he's at the other end of the phone. We don't meet up really to talk about things because we've got other more important things to talk about, like life. But he's just there, and it's fun to have his name. I think he's argued, I don't think he'll mind me telling you this, he's argued his way to a slightly smaller fee to the consternation of his agent, because he has said he will tell you he's in charge of every task. And let's say it's somewhere in between the two. Okay. But yeah, it's not a very organised relationship, but I love having his name on the credit.
Yeah. How? I mean, after 18 series, is it? I mean, what's your bank like of tasks just sitting in the back of your mind? Is it quite full still?
It's not bad. Yeah, no, it's not in the back of my mind. It's in the back of my phone. It's in the notes section, so I panic about losing that. But it's all right. You tend to think of a lot of tasks while you're doing tasks. That's when you're most fertile. No, I don't have a worry, except people more and more are asking me if the well is drying up. And I keep telling them that wells don't dry up. Wells are built near natural springs. So I'm hoping there's a natural spring in there, so it won't dry up unless there's an awful amount of climate change.
Yeah. I'm still hoping for the one that I suggested to you last year. I don't know if you remember it. It was literally just go to sleep, fastest wins.
So we did that. That went in.
You said to me, you said afterwards, it was a Julian Clary seed.
Yeah.
There was something similar to it.
What happens is, really, if people suggest something normally, and this don't want to sound like a slight on anyone, normally I or we have thought of something similar.
Yeah.
Because after all that time, you tend to have covered a lot of bases. But someone might say something and it triggers something in there and something else will come